on YouTube. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 5 p.m. and the Healthy Living Summit is going live, and we will just talk a little bit as you are coming in. And I see that there are two others with you and I, Angelique. And
hello.
that they will grow. As you come in, please use the chat and just say hello. And then we will see your names in our little panels here. And that way we can, of course, give you the nod as you are with us. So today is day 5, and we're going to be talking about emotional freedom and self-care. And so Angelique is an expert in that area. But before we even get started, I was reading a book the other day, and it gave me this wonderful little activity to do that I just want to introduce to you before we get into our session for today. So you know how we all have that thing that we do in our heads, that we have a moment and we begin to dialogue about that moment, and we can say to ourselves, this is really great, or this is really horrible, and we begin to complain about things, right? And so I want to introduce you to an activity that actually alerts us, makes us conscious of the complaining that we do. And not only that, gives you some really kind of like, here's the moment, shift it immediately, right? So the lovely author, I've got 2 of her books. Zehra is Zehra, is her first name. I think it's Maroon, that is the last name. And if I've messed that up, I will correct it later. But, we can have a beautiful day and it starts off great. And we can say, we're going to the park, right? Mm-hmm. And so we get dressed because once we get to the park, we're going to do some physical activity. Maybe we're going to do some stretches, or we're going to walk around the track, or whatever the case may be. And so we get dressed, we get in the car, and we start driving out of the driveway. And then we notice our neighbor that we just had an argument with the other day. Maybe it was a smirk that they gave you, or maybe it was a comment that actually didn't meet some need that you had. And all of a sudden you remember what we said, and then you go down memory lane, and it's like, well, I wish I had said something to her, if only I could speak faster when people like make me feel badly. And you start just going down the road, right? And so pretty soon you think you're going to the park, but you actually end up by the city dump. You've like just gone on autopilot and you end up at the dump, right? And so it's like, what just happened? You end up at the dump, and of course it stinks and it's disorganized. Well, our dumps are actually quite organized, but you know what I mean, right? You're at the dump, and so it's like, okay, how did I even get here, right? And our thoughts are exactly like that, so you turn around, you go, okay, I'm heading to the park, but now you're like, now I made a mistake now, and it's like, forget it, I'm just going back home. And don't we do that with our thoughts sometimes? So this is about positive thinking and negative thinking, right? And so we can go to that place where we go to the dump, or we go to the park. And so here's the activity, right? And I want you to do this activity. It's so simple and yet so beautifully effective. All right. So here's the thing. I want you to choose as the first part of this activity something that you love, right? Something that is really gives you enjoyment, a part of your day, a part of your typical day, but it gives you enjoyment. So for example, it could be just cuddling with your cat, or it could be going to the park, or it could be, some kind of morning routine or nighttime routine, or just hanging out with your kids. Whatever it is, you're going to keep it in mind. And here's the next thing. If you have a recorder on your phone, you can record, or if you need to download an app, then download an app, but you need to record it. And so here's what you're going to do. For 2 minutes, because most recorders will time you, and it's maximum 2 minutes, no more than that. You now talk about this thing that you love, right? And for 2 minutes, you just do that. So then the next phase of the activity is to now choose something you want to improve in your life, right? And so that could be like, having more friends. It could be thinking more positively. It could be, just wanting a relationship, whatever. You could want a better income. You just want to cope better with COVID. Whatever it is, you choose it and you do the same thing. For 2 minutes, you talk about that thing that you want to improve. And after you have done both exercises, you're going to re-listen to both recordings. And what you're going to do after each sentence, after each sentence in the recording, you're going to actually write down whether the sentence took you to the dump or whether the sentence took you to the park. So in other words, did it take you in the dark, negative, woe is me kind of direction, or did it actually take you into that positive, hopeful space, right? Where all of us should be all the time. And so you do that for both of them, and you begin to notice something. Of course, the thing we love, we should go to the park all the time. But for the thing that we want to improve, we should also go to the park. Yes, we should, right? So here's the thing. When you actually set your intentions about things, sometimes you set a negative intention. So I don't want to be bitten by that dog. And what happens? The dog senses your fear and the dog bites you, right? So what you do is you set an intention and you say, I'm passing by this lovely looking dog who is going to enjoy my presence, who is going to know that I am confident and is going to just go on and have a great day, right? So whatever you set in your mind, oftentimes we desire something in the future, but we're looking at how horrible the present is. And the truth of the matter is, wherever your negative thoughts are, is where you focus. And where you focus is where you find yourself. So the big lesson after you do this exercise, and I want you to do the exercise with something that you really, really, really want to improve, right? And then monitor your thoughts. And immediately after you listen and see all the dumping, and then you redirect your thoughts and you record it in a different way, where you now put a positive focus on it and move in that positive direction. Isn't that a wonderful exercise?
Yeah, that's nice. That's a nice little activity. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So you guys try it for me and let me know how it goes. Okay. So welcome, Angelique, to Day 6 of the Healthy Living Summit. Angelique Benois is going to be talking to us about self-care. And so let me tell you a little bit about her. Angelique is certified by the Mental Health Commission of Canada to provide outreach and education on, I'm sorry, Angelique, let me start that again. It's all set up and well, there it goes, right? Okay, hang on a second. Angelique Benois has over 18 years of nursing experience. She holds a degree in psychology, a master's of science in nursing, and completed her nurse practitioner degree specializing in mental health. In addition, she is certified by the Mental Health Commission of Canada to provide outreach and education on mental health first aid to organizations. She has completed her mental health at work leadership certificate from Queen's University and Morneau, Shepell, all of which helps her to provide lasting positive outcomes to her participants. So in 2009, Angelique was trained as a yoga instructor in Goa, India. And in 2017, she combined her extensive mental health clinical background with her yoga expertise through her business, which she calls Nurturing Our Wellbeing. And she also integrates and offers corporate wellness workshops, both in person and, of course, now that we're in the midst of COVID, virtually. So in 2017, she also received the Worldwide Leader in Healthcare Nursing Award from the International Nurses Association for her contributions to the profession. Angelique is trained in mindfulness, stress reduction therapy, emotional freedom techniques, and various forms of breath work. She is the proud mother of an active 7-year-old. Her name is Paige, and has traveled to every continent. Angelique, you're going to have to tell us about that. Every continent of the world to learn about new cultures, and to be reminded how amazing it is to live and connect with other people. So Angelique, welcome.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to have you here with us.
Yes, pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much. And I have to, because my daughter will be listening too. And so her name is Sage.
Sage.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I always make mistakes with people's names.
It's okay.
So take it away. You have the controls now.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Very excited to be here and to share. So my style is very, very informal. So please, if there's any questions along the way, don't hesitate to stop me and to ask a question down in the chat box. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. Okay. So I'm going to just share my screen here, and let's just see if this works. Oops. Okay.
Great.
All right. So hopefully everybody can see it. And if you can't, please, I guess, put it in the chat so we kind of know. So as Joan had so nicely explained, I'm going to be talking about self-care from the inside out is going to be my focus. Okay. And so during our time together, what I'm hoping is that we're going to talk a little bit about what is self-care and how it relates to our mental health. What are some of the reasons that we avoid practicing self-care? What are some of the reasons that we maybe had started, but then we stop practicing it? The importance of sustaining a self-care practice, which offers like a multi-approach, especially in this time with COVID-19. There's a lot of collective energy that's taking place. And so self-care is so, so important for us to do something every single day, even if it's a small portion of our day. And then we're going to be learning the self-care strategy, which is going to be tapping, also called emotional freedom techniques. Okay. So to start off with, I think it's really important for us to kind of put in context what I'm going to be referring to as mental health on our time together. So there's many different versions and definitions of it, but I liked this definition because I feel that it really captures the fact that it's very holistic. It's talking about in regards to how the person is feeling, the way that they're thinking, and also in regards to the ability to function day to day. So basically, not saying that we're going to have no stress in our life, but it's about really focusing on our resilience in a very holistic manner. Okay, so I like to kind of look at that. And so we're going to be coming back in regards to that, because I feel that if we have a good understanding of what mental health is and what it can look like, that is kind of how our self-care has to mirror and reflect that as well. Okay. So with the current situation that's going on in this world, the acuity of the situation, the uncertainty of the situation, the perceived lack of control in regards to it, it all reduces to us feeling that safety and security is rocked. So it goes right back to our basic needs with the Maslow hierarchy of needs. It's completely in regards to shifted and changed. And that will have an impact on our mental health, right? Especially if you remember what we talked about, it says about the interconnection. I feel that it's about the interconnection in regards to how we view ourselves, as well as how we connect with others. It will be impacted.
I think it was really interesting what you said, when you first started speaking about the collective, the collective energies that are at flow right now. So talk a little bit further about that, Angelique. What do you mean collective energy?
So sure. So what I'm saying is in regards to someone may be thinking, oh, well, this situation is not really stressing me out. I'm not anxious about it, right? My belief, and in regards to the fact of a lot of other people also, is in regards to the fact that we're all energy. right? Like, but it's everything is energy. Our thoughts are energy, our feelings are energy, everything is energy. So it doesn't only exist in regards to what you're feeling. So what I'm feeling will be impacting what my daughter feels, right? And what she's feeling will be impacting in regards to how I feel, whether it's on a conscious level or on our subconscious level. And that ripples out to beyond our immediate family or our immediate communities. It's global, right?
Yeah.
It's global in regards to it. So there's such a large amount of people who will be under a lot of stress and feeling a lot of symptoms of anxiety across the world now. Sure, it may show in different ways and manifest in different ways, but somehow it's all interconnected. And so we will feel that, and it will manifest in us in some way, shape, or form, whether we're aware of it or not, whether we want to admit that or not, whether we want to deny it or not. That's what I believe in regards to
Yeah,
it.
and I mean, the scientific evidence is already there. I mean, we know we carry an energy field.
Mhm.
We know that, as we enter an atmosphere, if each of us has an energy field around us, we're naturally going to be melding. And I remember going to the grocery store just like when COVID actually started.
Okay.
And I'm one of those folks. I can feel people. That's kind of how I do my counseling, is I actually feel your emotions as we're moving through the counseling process. And for some people who are unable to say, oh, this is what I'm feeling right now, I'm able to say, oh, so you're feeling sad right now. And they'll be like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you're feeling sad right now. So what's that about? How's that connected to what we just said?
Mhm.
So the energy is there. And I remember going to the grocery store and just feeling like, like I could feel the energy in the place, just being like, it's up here,
Yeah.
as opposed to the calm. Like usually I wouldn't even notice, but I remember
Right.
in those early weeks, like the anxiety level was just up here when you thought of it at a community kind of level.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's exactly. So you feel, and I think, like you said, some people are more in tune to it than others, and it goes by both ways, right? So whether it's in regards to feeling something very anxious or very frightening or very uncomfortable, it can also be in the opposite, where it's something that you just meet someone, you don't know anything about them, but there's something about them that you take to that you feel really comfortable with. So it goes that way as well, right? And I think we see it and we have experiences like that, but then we kind of sometimes dismiss it. So I think in regards to now, in regards to self-care, how to bringing it back, it's about that interconnection piece. And if you remember in regards to what they talked about mental health, it's about that interconnection with self and others that's important in regards to cultivating and demonstrating good mental health. Okay.
Now, talk to us. You mentioned something that I
Yeah.
wanted to expand on. Talk to us about the hierarchy of needs and how that's impacting on us at this point.
Yeah.
From your perspective.
So Maslow's hierarchy need has basically, it's like a pyramid. And the whole in a nutshell is talking about at the base, there are core needs that are being to made. So anything that's in regards to that's regards to safety, security, so shelter, food, feeling grounded, having some connection with someone who makes you feel safe. Those are all really essential. A sense of familiarity or knowing, right, is all important and essential for us to then continue to kind of evolve and to the next levels and to the next levels. And we kind of do that as we grow, right, from infancy all the way through. But it can be impacted. Any of those can be impacted also at different stages in our life. And I think right now, with what's going on, the uncertainty, what's been happening, there is a health pandemic, right? So and there's a lot unknown about how it spread and how it's shared and how we can protect ourselves. And if it's not even ours, if we're at home, you know, being isolated, we're still having concerns with other people, friends and family and all that. So all of this, the thoughts that we have, and it goes back to what you're talking to, Joan, in regards to the thoughts that we can have a lot of those thought traps, right? In regards to, oh my goodness, what happens if, my aunt or my parents or whatever the situation, that even if we're home, we can still be feeling and accumulating a lot of stress in our body that can impact us on many different levels.
Yeah, and so he goes all the way from what I call peace,
Mhm.
sense of, feeling safe is a part of being at peace. Feeling like you can settle is a part of peace. Feeling like there's no conflict. And right now, what we know is there's a lack of safety. As soon as you go out your house, potentially there's a lack of safety, right? And so even if you did get COVID and 80% of us recover, the possibility still is there that 2 out of 10 people might experience, a pretty significant severe illness, and then beyond that, even death. So the sense of insecurity is really high right now. So even if you're like up here, which is kind of like hit the top of the triangle, self-realization, or the ultimate, what I call spiritual maturity. And so if you're even if you're up here and everybody else is at the bottom, you're still impacted because of that
for sure.
connection.
Yeah, for sure. It's all interconnected. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. So the idea in regards to self-care, that also has a lot. It could be subjective in regards to what it actually looks like. And I think that's part of the reason also where self-care sometimes gets a bad rep, right? As being a very selfish act, right? And why people sometimes hesitate in regards to wanting to practice any type of self-care, right? But one of the definitions to them here that I had that I really liked is in regards to that it's something that is learned. And sometimes people are kind of surprised by that. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, it comes from in regards to the fact what we see our parents, right? How did our parents practice self-care? How did they teach us self-care? Or any other person who was a significant person in your life, right? How did they demonstrate what self-care is about? And really planted to see that you're worth the self-care, right? It takes a lot of practice, it takes a lot of effort, but you're worth kind of implementing and cultivating that, right? It's very purposeful, and it's something that's continuous. And I like the part about the continuous, because sometimes we kind of park self-care, and then when things start to unravel and we're feeling not really well, then we're like, oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna do my self-care now, right? Right? It's very conditioned in regards to a time frame. I like to invite you to always practice self-care, even if you're feeling well, right? And you're not feeling like you really need it. It's good about maintenance and prevention also, right? It's about it's about care and cultivating a sense of comprehensive self. And it's also about really helping about knowing yourself, right? We change. We're always changing. We're always growing. Our needs and if we're very reflective, we'll always see that our needs are changing. And I think, and I believe that your self-care practice should be changing with you, with that, right? Because what might have served you 7 years ago may no longer serve you now, as you mature differently and you know yourself differently, okay? It also involves action and your attitude, because we all have biases. And so I wonder, in regards to, other than the fact of that it's selfish, what are some other biases that people may have or attitudes may have? And I'm not quite sure if you've ever had a conversation, Joan, or if anybody that's participants is listening, if they have any thoughts in regards to that. What are some of the attitudes that maybe can contribute to someone not wanting to start a self-care practice, or perhaps stopping a self-care practice?
Right. Come on, guys. Type in your responses to the question. What stops you from taking care of yourself?
And now pause here and you let me know, Joan, because I can't.
It's a very good one. One of the things I always say to my husband is, you got to start taking care of yourself. Because he takes care of everybody else, right? And so, I always have to encourage him. So Helen, so Denise, for the rest of you that are online, tell us, what stops you from doing your self-care? So Naisha, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm sorry if I just messed up your name, but tell us, oh, you. Naisha says me. I stop me from my self-care. Donna says time, and taking care of others first. Isn't that so true?
Mm-hmm.
Keep them coming.
But that's so true in regards to the me. When I hear that, I'm thinking it's about those self-sabotaging, right? We often get in our way, even if there's something that serves us, we kind of just get in our way of doing something. So I can totally get that.
So Denise says, I'm a party of one, so nothing stops me. She says, if anything, it would be time. Okay. Kim says, not choosing myself first. That's what stops her. Roseanne says, it wasn't something that was practiced in my family. My mom and grandmother were always taking care of everyone else. I used to view it as being selfish.
Okay. So yes. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts in regards to that, right? And that's where in regards to the attitudes come in. So it's about what you can do in regards to shifting that mindset now, right? Because as much as we learn the different techniques and different strategies, if you still have the mindset that, once again, that self-care can only come after you've done all these other things, right? And then by the time that you've reached there, like you probably are exhausted, right? And then you don't really practice it. It's about in regards, okay, realizing that pattern and then shifting it and saying, okay, you know what, now it's time for me to put me first. It doesn't have to be a long period of time, where sometimes people have this belief or myth that, it's about going to the spa, right? Or getting your nails done, something that takes all day and it's about pampering,
Right. All day, and maybe it's every 3 months, right?
Yeah. Right. So it's about really paying attention to those things, and it just comes right back in regards to that exercise that Joan had introduced today in the book that she had read in regards to the fact that we have to kind of figure out where are our traps in regards to self-care, okay, and promoting that. So thank you. Okay, so the key to finding more peace via self-care for me, it involves in regards to we need to have some self-compassion. And so perhaps we are not kissing our reflection in the mirror. Not that I am judging that if you decide to do that, right? It's lovely, right? But it's really about in regards to some self-compassion for yourself if you want to implement that it's okay that you want to put yourself first for this particular time, right? So for example, myself in the mornings, I get up before my daughter's waking up or anything like that, and I try and I do my self-care practice, whether that is some journaling, some meditation, I will be doing some of my tapping, or sometimes I will go for like a short little nature walk, whatever it will be, or exercise in the back, right? I try and do that first, and I find that it helps me just show up as a mother that much better, right? But if it's a situation where for whatever reason, I'm not able to do that particular day, that's where the self-compassion comes in, right? And I'm not mentally lashing myself that, that I'm a failure, that I didn't do that. I try and I find and I adapt to that, and I'll do something in the midday or maybe more in the evening. So I really invite you to kind of think about how can you be continuous in regards to your self-compassion as you try to expand your self-care practice, especially in these times, okay? Incorporates a multi-level approach, was very holistic. And I think I kind of made mention to that when I talked about the definition of mental health. It's very holistic, it's at different levels. So to me, it just makes sense that your self-care practice has to reflect that, right? And so it's not only about being physically active, right? Whether that's in regards to yoga. I love my yoga. I love going to the gym. Well, when I was able to go to the gym, right? But I love to be physically active. So there's that piece, and you might have your own physical practice in regards to what you do. But it's also, okay, so what are you doing in regards to the mental piece of it, of your practice, right? So are you doing reflective things in regards to identifying your thoughts, right? Are you doing things in regards to meditation? Are you doing things that are in regards to being mindful, like being present in the moment, right? So I think it just has to be something that's very, very broad. Also in regards to the foods that we're eating, right? Nutrition is a huge one. We had somebody in the summit talking about nutrition, right? It's huge. So it's not only about in regards to food impacts your mood, but it's also how you're eating the food, right? How you're enjoying, what's your connection with even the food, that process of eating, right? It comes back to that connection that we talked about too, right? And then it complements an existing routine. So this is something that I tend to advise individuals when they say, oh, I kind of got get stuck, or, I always do it and I come out of it and everything like that. And I go, that's normal. That's just like, it goes with the stages of change, right? You try and implement something and you might, fall off or relapse, as people call it, right? It's an opportunity now to see how you can do things differently. And it's all about that learning. You come back onto it. But what I always like to advise people to do is, if you can add the components of what's going to serve you well in your self-care practice now to something that you're already doing consistently in your life, it's going to flow and be integrated into your day-to-day life that much easier, right? So for example, in regards to the shower, we all shower, right? Hope so. Shower or bathe, something like that. Yeah, hopefully, yeah. Right? In regards to that.
Some of us might go to the bath, but
yeah, something like that, right?
Water, that's a good point.
Yeah. Right? Can you do one of those things that a self-care practice during that period of time, right? Because that's a time. So it's not about necessarily always about carving out extra time. It's about just reshaping the time that you've already committed to yourself a little bit differently. Okay. Hopefully that makes any sense. It makes sense. And you have no questions about that.
Both Donna and Helen left notes saying, so Donna, who had said before that she takes care of other people, she says, now I am totally taking care of me. Working in the mental health and development field, your work and home is all about others. Now it's all about me.
Okay. All right.
So Donna,
I know that sounds like it felt good to type that.
So like, take care of herself. I'm loving it, Donna. And then Helen says, good points. Even though we may be well, it's good to practice self-care daily. It's like daily prayers. I need self-care so I can help others. But I get super distracted like Donna before.
Okay. Yeah. And so it's about, once again, implementing. So it's also knowing in regards to what's your style, even in regards to obtaining information and learning. So I've always been like a sticky note queen. So I love putting things up in writing, and so that when I see it, I kind of get reminded, right? It can just be like simple words or whatever. So it's about finding out what really works for you so that you don't get distracted, or at least you get less distracted, right? And another piece that I really wanted to kind of highlight here in regards to that, it's about it's knowing your why, right? So I really think that your self-care practice should be aligned with your values and your core values and your why, right? What drives you, what adds meaning to your life, because then it's something that will be easy. If you kind of derail, it's much easier for you to kind of go right back. And so the example I like to give is Sage, my daughter. She is a big reason in regards to, I love the fact that I sometimes I'm doing stuff and I'm not even realizing that she's really absorbing it, and then I see her mirroring something that I've done that's really positive, and that's just wonderful. Yes. Right? So for those who you're talking about, you're caring about other people. If you look at self-care as your own care, that you are doing exactly that in a different way, you are still serving them and helping them in a different way, because they're going to feel your energy, and they're going to feel that you're more accessible to them, right, in a different way. So I just wanted to point that out.
It was Mother Teresa, when she was alive and she was running her programs to help the poor in India. They would spend, I think, 2 hours in their time of devotion and prayer before they would start the day. And I think it was a reporter or somebody who said to her, how can you afford to spend that much time in prayer? And her response was, if we didn't spend this amount of time in prayer, we'd never be able to serve the people that we serve and do it well without feeling completely depleted. So she was totally in that space of, this is what fills us up. This is what replenishes us so that we can go out and serve. And so it's a must, not a, hey, let's do it now. It's a must. And I think oftentimes we don't think of it as in that way. We don't think about service as the life that we live. And so we don't think about the filling up and the replenishing as something that we need to do daily.
Yeah, so true. So true. Very true. Yeah. But once you start to do it, and it's something, once again, once you feel that difference, then that's something that you will stay, and hopefully you can remember that, right? In regards to moving forward.
Yeah.
Okay, so that leads us to emotional freedom techniques, right? So the tapping, so emotional freedom techniques, it's under the umbrella of energy psychology, right? So people may know it much more commonly in regards to tapping, and we're going to go into a little bit in regards to that, right?
Let's ask that question. Okay, type yes if you have heard of tapping before, other than me mentioning it yesterday, if you are familiar with it. So just type yes or no. Kim says no. Natalie says yes. Denise says yes. Nisha says yes. Roseanne says yes. Okay. A lot more people than I thought. Helen, no, just tap dancing. Okay, Helen. Donna says, what was the question? Donna. Are you familiar with tapping, Donna? That's the question. I think that was a joke.
Okay, all right. Because I can't see anything, so I don't know who's saying what. Okay. All right, so that's good. That sounds like some people are familiar with it.
Yeah.
And I guess how many of those who are familiar with it, how many are practicing it?
Okay, say I if you're practicing it. Or say nay if you're not. Natalie says I've forgotten.
Okay.
Alicia says I am, and my family too. Denise says no. Roseanne says no. So there's familiarity, but not necessarily the practicing of it.
Okay. And that's fair enough, right? Because sometimes we might learn something comes to us, and then it's not the right time, and then maybe this is the right time, right?
Yeah.
So to kind of learn it, right? So it is an excellent complementary strategy, and it meets the 3 criteria that I had mentioned previously, right? Because it definitely allows you to have that whole self-compassion piece too, and it's the connection, all those pieces, right? And it's accessible to everyone. I really can't think of who it wouldn't be accessible to. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like everyone's accessible to, your breath, right? Your breath is always with you. You can utilize it. A lot of times people underestimate the impact of breath work and the variety of breath work, because there's not to derail, but I just want to share that because we're talking about self-care. There's breathing techniques to help reduce symptoms of anxiety. There's breathing techniques that will help you if you're more angry, noticing that you're more on edge and getting irritated, right? And there's some if you're having problems falling off to sleep, right? If you're finding that you have a lot of racing thoughts, or if you're really fatigued and you need something to give you a little bit more energy, like breath work is huge. And it can really, once again, complement a lot of whatever you're already doing in your self-care. It just oomph it up a little bit more, right? And similar with EFT, emotional freedom techniques. Okay. So this is kind of highlights what we were kind of touched on at the beginning in regards to the different emotions that we feel, and that we can be feeling it off of different people at different things, depending on how attuned we are in regards to how we're feeling. And as you can see here, they have it there on the left-hand side, a listing of it, and it has the different emotions on the third one. The log there is talking about in regards to the frequency, right? So you notice that the ones like peace and enlightenment, kind of what we were talking about with the Maslow, the self-actualization, they'll be more vibrating more at the upper levels, right? And then when you're feeling a little bit more in regards to then what we would call negative emotions, right? So maybe some bitterness or hate or anxiety, regret, shame, the vibrational frequency would be a lot lower. And it also shows how it's connected in regards to how we would be viewing life, okay? How we're looking at the world, how we're looking at the life. And then also, it's not here, But I also feel very confident in saying it will impact in regards to how we feel about ourselves, right? And that too will also impact in regards to how we value or how we implement our self-care, right? So everything kind of builds on each other. It's a kind of a cycle that we kind of have to just sometimes just have to start, even if we don't feel like we really are at a place where we want to start. We sometimes it's that initial starting where you need the most amount of energy to kind of just do it, and then you get into a routine and you realize, okay, and you look back and you realize, okay, this is not as difficult as I had imagined, and this actually feels a lot better, than I thought. And sometimes it's not you who notices it, it's somebody that you've interacted with, right? And I know our interactions are a little bit now questionable with the situation, but we're still interacting with FaceTime or on phone, and maybe something that would have been a trigger for you, you're realizing that it's not triggering you as much, or it's not lasting as long, right? You're not as fixated. Okay.
Yeah, I love David Hawkins' work because he has done scientific studies which look at this whole idea of the vibrational energies, actually measuring physically, well, more with physics, the vibrational energies of our body in these different emotional states. And in his book, he actually uses a whole bunch of studies and pulls them all together to adjust. I'd never seen the I'm just gonna move us out of the way for a second. I've never seen the life view connected with that. I'm sure it's in his book, but I probably just missed the when I was doing this, I was listening to the audio book.
Okay.
I think I missed this image, but the whole idea of the life view and that enlightened one, this is what is, or if you're at peace, then it's blissful, it's perfect, right?
Yeah.
And so versus if you're in that shame, life is miserable. If you're guilty, everyone is evil. If you're apathetic, it's hopeless. I can't do anything about this world, which might be, in that space. Some people, especially when we're experiencing COVID, might be in that place of apathy. Certainly grief, if you've lost someone, life is tragic. Fear, I'm frightened of everything, including myself. Desire, disappointment, and then it just goes on up from there. So thank you.
Yeah.
This is really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Right. And I can't remember where I had read it or came across it. I can't remember, but it was also in regards to how the different emotions and energy, how it impacts the different parts of our body.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's another way that you can kind of gauge in regards to your needs in regards to self-care, right? Because the different emotions, and I can remember in regards to anxiety and depression, they were talking about the anxiety was in regards to all in this part. And that's why sometimes your chest may feel really tight when you're feeling really anxious. And then for depression, there was a lot of blues and there was a sense of in your stomach. So I'm wondering in regards to that heaviness that you kind of feel. So all that to say in regards to when you're doing your self-care is to be very mindful in regards to how you feel before you start something and how you're feeling after, right? So that evaluation piece is really important because sometimes we're so like distracted and we're kind of just an autopilot and we're just kind of doing, even though we're trying to do all the right things. And then someone goes, is it helping? And someone's like, I'm not really sure.
Right.
Right. I really don't know, right? And that's not encouraging, right? That's another reason that can be a barrier of why you would be consistent with your self-care practice. So even though it might sound really like teachers going, oh my goodness, I have to evaluate, it's really important. And especially for when we're going to be talking about in regards to the tapping and EFT, it's important to gauge the pre and then after we do it, that's how you feel after, okay? Okay, so the body memory. So our body holds our past experiences, which I think we kind of touched on. So the moments that we heard about the impact of COVID-19 was having in the world, it all impacted us differently at different levels, right? Based on regards to what our saturation rates are, right? For some people, it impacted you really big. For some people, they felt that it was nothing really big. They didn't really feel the impact. Maybe now they're feeling it. So everybody is kind of a little bit different in regards to that, okay? There was a neuropharmacologist named there, Candace Burke, talking about in regards to the body is your subconscious mind. And there was some research that's showing in regards to the fact that it's not only in our brain in regards to where we have memory, it's also in regards to our organs, our skin, the muscles, endocrine glands. We have receptors right, on them that can store emotional information. So if we've been impacted by something, and maybe this experience has been a trigger of something else, or just the idea of having the restrictions is a trigger for something else, or maybe now the fact that we have these restrictions and now we're in different dynamics with our whoever's at home with us, whether it's relationship, and that was somebody on the summit that talked about relationships, that can cause a lot of different triggers, right? The way that we are parenting is different, that can cause a lot of triggers. And so this kind of builds as an accumulation in our bodies, right? So there's this whole sense in regards to, in the research, that our body remembers.
Absolutely. Candace wrote the book, The Body Remembers. There's another gentleman, I'm totally slipping, but in my book, 490, Forgive and Live Fearlessly, I have a table there. What he did was he actually connected the meridians, which traditional Chinese medicine talks about, connects the emotions that the Chinese identified as connecting with each of the major meridian points to the 12 major organs of the body. So he's a psychologist from Australia. And so in my book 490, I actually have a table that you see that here's the major organ, like the lung, for example, is about tolerance. On the positive side, it's about humility. It's also about moderation, whether it's in thoughts, deeds, or actions, whatever the case may be. On the flip side, it's about intolerance, it's about pride, or it's about immodesty. So every organ, if you can think about our design and the beautiful design that we are, every organ has these major emotions. And then when you track it, it tracks and it links back to what we call the fruits of the spirit. So, love, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, all of those are woven into the 12 major organs, right? It's just, when you think about it, you're like, that is just powerful and beautiful and magnificent.
Yes, it is. We are. You think about it, how dynamic we are, right?
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So this here, I just want to say in regards to this image, it was from another presentation that I had done with somebody, and we're not 100% sure exactly where we got it, but I just want to give reference in regards to the fact that whoever it is we appreciate it. Okay, we appreciate it. And when it came across to this, we felt that it was really appropriate for what we're going through right now, right? I thought it was a really beautiful in regards to that we're all one.
I love this image because, I'm always talking about the continents, right? Yeah. I always imagine the continents as like a human being like this, right? I imagine Asia, I imagine North America, or the Americas, North and South, and Australia, and us like literally forming hands as a world like this. The problem is we've been kicking each other, we've been fighting, we're not holding hands at all, but this is a fantastic image. I love it.
Yes, I liked it too. So I thought it was important to kind of share that in regards to just to highlight what we were talking about before, that everything is energy, right? And so if we can impact our own energy levels in regards to how we feel, we have that ability to impact the world around us. Okay. So let's get into it a little bit here. So emotional freedom technique. So EFT is emotional self-help technique, is using the mind and the body. It's also known as tapping, right? And tapping has been known to have a positive impact for a number of different ailments, both on the physical side, so headaches in regards to nail biting, in regards to a lot of psychological issues with anxiety or depression, whatever it is. I can't think of something that you really can't use tapping to kind of help with the shift. Not to say that it's the answer of everything, but it's definitely something that should be tied with a lot of what else that you're doing. Because remember, I was telling you that it's different aspects of it, and that's what I really like to promote, that it needs to be holistic. So this is just one of the tools or strategies. And what I'm showing right now, even in itself, the tapping, it has different levels too. Today, we're just going into regards to just global, but there's different in regards to stages that you can use to get into it deeper so that it can really offer you some different shifts in your life. Okay. So it's different acupuncture pressure points located along the meridian pathways. So in yoga, we talk about the chakras, right? Also energy centers. And then the meridians is also in regards to different parts of our body, which I'm going to go into here. So it is, as had mentioned before, it goes as far back as 5,000 years as part of Eastern medicine, okay? However, acupuncture was also traced back as 4th or 5th dynasty in Kemet, okay? Also known as in Egypt, what we know is Northern Africa. So a lot of people don't realize that piece. And it works with more, sorry, Joe?
No, most people don't realize that Egypt is in Africa. Is that what
Yes.
Yeah,
Right. And a lot of the things that are coming up now in regards to it, when you look back, it's traced back. You're seeing a lot of evidence, even in regards to yoga. It was being taking place in those periods of time as well, too. Right. So there's definitely shifts in how we feel in our body and in regards to our thoughts. Okay. And it's a lot of research and it's evidence based, and it's growing and growing and growing as we speak right here, right now. Okay. So as I was saying, there's different levels and components which are involved, but today we're only going to be moving through the bronze tapping. Okay. So where are the points? So I wanted to just kind of show you, and if you will kindly follow along, and all I want you to kind of do is maybe the easiest thing that people tend to kind of notice a difference is in regards to, if you can think of a physical situation right now. So if whether you have a particular pain or discomfort in your body.
I suggest if you're on your last slide, maybe you can end the screen, the share screen, and then that way we can see you full.
Oh, okay, sure. Oh, you can't see me? Okay, sorry for me to tell.
Well,
no
we
problem.
can see you in the small window, but
oh, okay, no worries. I can do that.
Yeah.
So let me go to the last one. I'll come back to that, right? So these are worded to you. Okay, and so this is kind of sometimes people say, okay, well, it looks odd. And I honestly and truly, I'm just going to put it out there. It looks odd. Okay. It looks weird. When I had my initial training, it looked weird. When I went back for the second training, even though I was expecting, knew what to expect, it still felt weird initially when going in there. But I'm telling you, it's something on a personal and on regards to professional, it has a huge impact. Ever since I've learned it, I can't not share it. So on both on my psychotherapy one online, and as well as when I go into corporations and workshops, I tend to plant that seed. And it's interesting how many people are really interested about it and will ask me about it after a training or after a workshop, right? So this is some more in regards to the discrete. So that's just my hand, and I was showing some of the parts that you can kind of press on in regards to add pressure on that can also help, that can be more discreet. For they were saying, well, I'm in the work office, I can't really go around doing this. This is more discreetly. But now a lot of people are working from home. So that opens up an opportunity that you can kind of practice it where you're more comfortable with it, right? But this was just an alternative, okay? And then this was just information in regards to that, in regards to my website. So I'll come out of it now. So if I want to just mention now, my website is there. Feel free. We're working right now in regards to, I already finished the video, but I'm trying to put it on as a free resource for everybody that's here, anybody who's interested in it, that goes a little bit deeper than what we go on right now. This right now is going to be an introduction. So if you want it, please just go and you can subscribe on my website, and you can have it. Also, if you take a look in the resources, there's some additional information about energy psychology and tapping, okay? And if you just want to subscribe for the newsletter, I always tend to put a little bit about tapping, but also other self-care strategies that are up and current that people can apply right away in their lives to make some shifts, okay? And then that's my email. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me, okay? Okay, did you see me bigger now?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so I always like to suggest that the person kind of just sit with where they're feeling in the moment, and kind of just do a scan in regards to their body. Having your soles of your feet grounded onto the floor, and just let your body, just surrender your body to whatever's supporting you, whether it's a chair or the couch or the edge of the bed or whatever it is. Just make sure that you're comfortable, and just really just check in and see what you're feeling, right? And you can simply focus on that part, okay? And sometimes people say, why am I going to be focusing on something that's uncomfortable? This is how it essentially works. You're supposed to focus on something that is causing you discomfort. So in this case, that's a physical thing. And you're going to be then tapping on the meridian points that I'm going to be going through in order for it to bring the discomfort up. And then you will notice with the tapping, the sensation will shift. So I can't say how it would happen for you. It's very, very individualized, right? But what I can say is that usually after, maybe sometimes people notice it with one round, but after you go around a few times, you notice a shift, whether the intensity lessens or maybe the energy of whatever you're feeling shifts, and you kind of have to kind of just chase it and see where it's going, kind of follow it. So you're kind of your own private detective. You're just investigating, okay? All right, so the points are, the first point is the left side of your hand right there. We're going to be tapping on that, okay? And then the second point, I'm just going to show you the points now, and then we can kind of do a breathing and going with it, is right on the tip of your eyebrow, right in your eyebrow there. The third spot is right on the outer edge of your eyebrow. Okay. Then it's right underneath your eye on your cheekbones there. Then it's going to be underneath your nose. Then it will be right underneath your lip, that little dent in your chin there that we have. And then you're going to be finding your collarbone. You go underneath it and you just go a little bit, an inch out. So it's right underneath your collarbone. I'm going to tap right there. Okay. And you'll notice with practice as you keep going, you'll find where your little sweet spot is, where you find the most release. Okay. Then it's right underneath your left arm, under your rib cage. So for the females that are on, is right like where your bra line would be. And then on top of your head is the last spot. Okay. And you can go with one or you can go with both, whatever you feel most comfortable. Okay. When you're doing that, you may notice that you may burp, you may pass gas, you may start to yawn. All those things are fine and normal. Okay. It's just that it's the sign that your body is releasing because you're tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system, right? So you want that rest and repair that's going to be triggering, and we need that now, right? Because our body is always in sympathetic. We're always in like the fight, flight, and freeze, right? Which is it's normal with all this that's going on. Okay, so let's try it again. So we'll go around it one more time. So take a deep breath in and focus on wherever is happening in your body, the spot in your body, and just kind of just focus on it, right? So for me, I'm feeling a little bit of stiffness in my lower back, so I'll just focus on that. So take a deep breath in, filling your stomach, filling your chest, exhaling out, relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your jaw. Then right on your forehead, taking another deep breath in and slowly exhaling through your nose, nice and slow, letting your shoulders melt down your back, relaxing your tongue, letting it be heavy in your mouth. On the side of your eyebrow, taking a deep breath in and letting go together, exhaling out. Right underneath your eye, right by your cheekbone, taking a deep breath in. Noticing if your mind is wandering off to something else and just gently bringing it back to the sensation of tapping onto your body, exhaling out. Then underneath your nose, breathing in, letting go. Underneath your mouth, right by your chin, exhaling out. Then right underneath your collarbone, breathing in, letting go. Then right underneath your left arm again, spleen, exhaling out. And then the top of your head. Take a deep breath in, and exhaling out. And just let your hand just sit onto your head and just feel your body and just feel what your body's saying. Your body's always trying to talk to you and communicate with you. Sometimes we just forgot the language. And just pay attention to your breathing. And then slowly release your hand from your head. Just have it on your lap. And just scan your body one more time again. Do a little check-in and evaluation to see if your body is shifted in any way, shape, or form. And then when you're ready, you can slowly, slowly, slowly start to open your eyes. Okay, and see how that is. So tell me, how was that for everyone? What was the experience like? Any words? Did you learn anything? You notice anything? Is that your first, Joan, you do tapping, right, Joan?
I don't do it on a regular basis. I have done it before.
Okay.
And so I would, usually I assign a number to how I was feeling before.
Like intensity.
I was focusing on here because for the longest time I hadn't experienced any pain here, but I know with the heightened anxiety in the atmosphere, so I started experiencing that pain again. So it's probably at maybe a 3, 4, and afterwards I'm probably at a 3, you know. So
okay.
it's good to kind of like assess where you are, do it, assess
Free
where you are, then do it again, assess where you are until totally it subsides. That usually is the way that I do it. But so Kim said, Richard said, felt good. I was experiencing back tightening, seemed to loosen. Natalie said, I feel great. The tense feeling in my feet are gone. My tense muscles feel relaxed. I'll assess my swelling in the left part of my neck and see if that's better too. And so Kim said, wow, pain in my shoulder has subsided, not gone, but pain lessened. And let's see, Denise said, relaxing. Do you need to say anything? As when I was taught about tapping, I was told to speak to myself.
Yes.
And Richard said, how many times do I have to tap each part? And then Natalie said, yes, the swelling has subsided.
Oh, wonderful. Good. That's great feedback. Thank you so much for sharing, everyone.
I've just been very responsive and shifting very quickly. So.
And like I said, for some people, it's just really quickly, and some people have to go a few rounds. One of the suggestions I do is also to kind of rub your hands together and to kind of just helping with the energy, right? So you kind of just rub and kind of get connected, feel the heat, and then kind of go through it. And in regards to the number of times, there's no like set in stone. They say like around 7, but honestly and truly, it's a very forgiving process, right? So you can kind of do it, listen to your body. But I know sometimes when you're doing something new, people like to want to know like how much, and they want it to be, so I would say 7 times is safe. Just go through 7 and then kind of just go through it 7. But eventually I just want you to kind of just get into your own flow, and because it's about that connection again. We were talking about interconnection, so it's about that connection with your body. Your body will guide you in regards to what feels right and what spot. So for me, it's right here, and I can stay there. I stay there much longer, right? For somebody else, it's different, right? So was there another question there, Joan, that I want to make sure I don't miss any of the questions?
Do you say anything?
Oh, so there is. So I think I might have mentioned it very briefly that there are different levels in regards to the tapping. So absolutely, you can have maybe you went to a different training, or perhaps even on YouTube now, there's a lot of people who will be talking about the setup statement. So even though, right, so there's a way that you can talk to yourself, and you say the 3 times here, and then you go around it and focusing. So definitely there are words attached to it. What we did here was more kind of like an introduction. So we're just doing global tapping. Sometimes when you just wake up and you're just like flooded with thoughts, or you're overwhelmed and words are just not coming. Because sometimes people get stuck and caught up with, what am I supposed to say? And how am I saying it? And, they start to analyze, especially if you're very analytical, right? Very cognitive, right? So to begin with, we're just saying, just tap, go on your body and just start to connect. And then you can, if you feel that this is a self-care practice that's serving you and you want to add it, then delve in a little bit deeper in regards to it. And like I said, you can go to my website and find some more information, or just email me, and I can be more than happy to give you some additional information. I have a webinar that's going to be coming up in regards to that, and will be more information in regards to that to kind of guide people who want to go in a little bit deeper. So once again, another reason.
Our nurturingwellbeing.com, right?
Yeah,
Our Nurturing Wellbeing, and I'm going to just put it in the our nurturing.
No, so nurturing our.
Nurturing, see, I'm just always
okay. So it's NOW. So nurturing our well-being on the premise of now. So don't procrastinate on your self-care. Do it now. The hour is because I really believe that it's our responsibility. I could have said nurturing your well-being, but the hour is we help each other, right? And what happens with one, it ripples out to other people. So it's really an hour situation, right? So it's nurturing our well-being. So yeah, stay tuned with the subscribe, and you'll find out when the webinar comes available, and you can go a little deeper of that and yoga and other things as well.
So Helen said, I feel like sleeping.
yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
I was distracted by the Buddha in the back. Sorry, as I'm a Christ follower, I do go to acupuncture. So I agree with the meridian points helping. Like when I did the tapping at Mask, my sleepy acupressure helps me. Does she know that? Yes, I think she does. Yeah. All right, we have come to the end of our time together. In fact, we are a little bit over tonight. I want to thank you all for coming out and learning with us, and just participating at the level that you did. So tomorrow, Jeffrey Saw is going to be presenting on meditation. So in the same way that Angelique was just wonderful in giving us like the foreground knowledge and then walking us through the practicality of it, the basics of it. You can connect with her if you want to go a little bit more advanced. Jeffrey is going to do something similar. So thank you all for being here, and signing off. Have a great night.
Thank you, everyone.
Oops, let me see.
Keep safe.
Before I am rude, let's say, so Natalie says, thank you so very much. This was very helpful, great presentation. Helen said, thanks for your time all. Roseanne said, thanks. And so thank you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you.
Stay safe. Take care. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Bye-bye.